Chapter 1. Worry will steer your life if you allow it. How often do you sit down and allow your mind to wander? Do you then let yourself start overthinking? Do you then start worrying about what happened in the past, feeling bad about what happened, and then panic about what may come in the future? These are all common issues in the modern day. We spend time living in the past or future. We forget to enjoy the here and now. Dale Carnegie understood this from a very early age, and his teachings ring true even today, perhaps even more so than before. Today, we're more connected than ever before, but we're more stressed than we've ever been. Be more aware of your triggers and make a plan to overcome them. If you're someone who struggles with overthinking, or you're constantly worrying about what might happen, learning how to put the brakes on constant worrying and learning to live in the moment will be a huge positive for you. Of course, this is something we could all benefit from, but some certainly more than others. The benefits of focusing on kicking worry out of your life are truly far-reaching. Not only will you notice the joy that is all around you, but you'll develop stronger relationships as a result of not constantly being dragged down by fear and worry. Dale Carnegie's advice has never been more pertinent than it is today. And by taking it all on board and creating a plan to free yourself, you'll notice that your life feels lighter, happier, and ultimately healthier. Chapter 2. Banish your worries by living firmly in the moment. One of the main reasons for worry and stress is that we are no longer living in the moment. We're either lamenting something that happened in the past, or becoming stressed about something that hasn't even happened yet or may never happen. Dale Carnegie explains the idea first brought about by Sir William Osier, a professor of medicine, teaching us to live in day-tight compartments. This means that you should live in a compartment that is firmly in the here and now. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't begin to plan for tomorrow and the future, but the best way to do that is to live to the best of your ability today, to create opportunities for the time to come. When you focus on the tasks you have now, you can do better and prevent further anxiety. Most people don't realize that the power to control our thoughts is in our own hands. Good thinking is positive and causes us to plan constructively, but lousy thinking leads to stress, tension, and the possibility of a nervous breakdown. Instead, why not focus on living your life today until bedtime and don't think further on than that? Dale Carnegie gives the example of a lady who became desperate and almost suicidal after her husband's death. Everything changed when she learned to live in the moment, looking no further than bedtime. She heard the words, "Every day is a new life to a wise man," and it completely altered her life for the better. Did you know 2016 research done by the Institute for Health Metrics and Evaluation shows that around 275 million people suffer from anxiety? Chapter 3. A three-step guide to waving worries away. Banishing your worries could be as simple as applying the three-step guide given to Dale Carnegie by Willis H. Carrier, the famous engineer. First, take the situation and analyze it before deciding what the worst possible outcome may be. Then, accept the worst-case scenario and keep it in perspective. If you lose your job, it won't be good, but you can always get another. Lastly, try and improve that worst-case scenario by reframing it with a positive. As before, we mentioned that if you lose your job, you can get a new one, but you can also get a better one, perhaps one you enjoy more or one with better pay. Learn to deal with worries by using 3 steps. Firstly, analyze the issue, figure out what the worst-case scenario is, and then understand how you could improve it. By doing that, you have nothing to worry about. The worst-case scenario in life is very rarely to ever happen. However, understanding how you would overcome it should it come to fruition helps you to feel more in control and confident. This guide can be used in any situation, with any worry or concern you may have. Businessmen who do not know how to fight worry die young. Dr. Alexis Carrel. We focus so much on medical issues such as smallpox and other diseases, giving immunizations and raising awareness. Still, you rarely hear about the significant health risks of worry and anxiety. Worry can cause stomach ulcers, which if left untreated can be fatal, arthritis and rheumatism, tooth decay, an overactive thyroid, possibly leading to total burnout, high blood pressure, affecting the heart. Worry can manifest itself in physical symptoms, which severely harm your health while damaging your mental health at the same time. Chapter 4. Face your worries and analyze them for clarity of mind. Learning how to analyze your worries will give you a clearer mind, and in the end, you will realize that there was nothing to spend time worrying about. Dale Carnegie gives an example of one of the most successful businessmen in Asia. He puts his success down to the ability to analyze his worries because it allows you to examine the reason for your fears, To do this, he uses a similar model to the one we mentioned before. Identify the problem, identify the cause of the problem, come up with a list of possible solutions for that problem, and then shortlist it down to the best solution. By analyzing the issue, you're dealing with your worries in an organized and focused way. This takes away the emotional aspect and allows you to think with greater clarity. Being strategic in your thinking helps you to overcome any eventuality. Knowing that you can handle whatever comes your way gives you confidence and power. It's never easy to think with clarity when your mind is whirling and you can't focus on one thing. By taking the time to calm down and be methodical, you have a much greater chance of not only deciding upon a course of action, but deciding upon the correct one, and the one which will bring you the most remarkable outcome available. Chapter 5. Keeping busy will distract your mind away from everyday worries. The best way to break the damaging cycle of worry is to fill your mind with other things, so there's no space for the anxiety to seep in. Psychology tells us that no mind on earth can focus on more than one thing at a time. That means if you stay busy and fill your mind with other things, you won't spend time dwelling on the worry. Winston Churchill famously said, "I'm too busy, I have no time for worry," at the height of the war when he made huge decisions that shaped the world's future. Dale Carnegie also gives us a poignant example of a former student who lost 2 of his children. Crippled with grief, his surviving child asked him to make him a toy boat. Of course, he didn't feel like it, but he did it anyway. He realized that while he was focusing on making that boat, he wasn't thinking about his worries. Stay busy, keep making plans and following them through, and you won't have space in your brain for worries. Most of our worries seem huge in the moment, but when we look back at them, perhaps during dire times, we realize that we spent a lot of time worrying about insignificant things. Chapter 6. The ultimate question. What are the chances? Ask yourself clearly what the chances are that the event or thing you're worried about will happen. By stopping to ask yourself this question, you'll realize that most of the things we worry about have statistically very slim chances of actually occurring in real life. Most of the things we worry about are extremely unlikely ever to happen. As a child, Dale Carnegie was terrified of thunderstorms, being struck by lightning, and being buried alive. Years later, he realized how ridiculous those fears were, because, according to the law of averages, it was doubtful ever to happen. We can usually get rid of the overwhelming number of worries by putting them into perspective and asking ourselves whether they have any chance of really happening. We should also learn to accept the things we can't change and adjust to life as they are. If something adverse happens in life, the human ability to adapt and survive is terrific. We tend to throw too much time and effort at things that indeed aren't worth it. This is true of worry when we continue to think and go over a situation, becoming more and more nervous about it in our minds. What we should do instead is ask how much worry is it worth? At what point do we need to stop worrying and accept the situation as it is? When you find yourself in a cycle of worry and anxiety, stop and ask where your stop-loss point is. Example, at what point do you stop worrying and let it go? By giving every worry a limitation, you're not allowing it to control you and become a vast, swirling mass of anxiety. One of the most tragic things I know about human nature is that all of us tend to put off living. We are dreaming of some magical rose garden over the horizon, instead of enjoying the roses that are blooming outside our windows today. Dale Carnegie. Chapter 7. Changing your attitude will help you to move towards happiness. Happiness is a choice. This is something everyone has heard before, but it is also the truth. Worry is also a choice because we have the power to change our thoughts and therefore banish worry if we work hard enough to do so. By changing your mindset towards a happier setting, you dismay worry and give it less chance to enter into your future thoughts. Happiness and worry are both choices we make in life. There are some valuable ways to create a mindset that puts you in a happier frame of mind and a more peaceful one. Choose positivity over negativity. Marcus Aurelius, a famous philosopher of the Roman Empire, said, "Our life is what our thoughts make. If you think of fearful ideas and thoughts, your life will be full of fear. If you think of happy thoughts, your life will be happier. Control your negative thoughts and turn them into positives. Forget your enemies. Holding grudges and trying to get even with old adversaries does nothing but give the power back to them. You lose sleep and you become nervous. Your blood pressure rises. The list goes on. Your enemies don't deserve this power. Don't expect gratitude. Being grateful is not a natural human trait. It has to be taught and learned. If you live your life expecting others to be grateful for the things you do for them and then becoming angry when they don't, you will live a life of disappointment. Count your blessings. Dale Carnegie tells us about a businessman who lost everything. He was walking down the street feeling wholly defeated when he came across a man who had lost his legs. From that point on, the man realized he had more than he thought. Always count your blessings. Just be yourself. There's nobody else on the planet like you, so why try and be someone else? Don't try and fit in. Don't feel bad about the way you look or the things you can't do. Instead, just be yourself. Do good deeds for others. By doing something good for someone else every day, you make yourself feel better. You make them feel better. And you foster a positive and upbeat attitude, which worries can't break. Remember that nobody can upset you or disturb your time unless you allow them to do so. Chapter 8. Is criticism a backhanded compliment? When we receive criticism from others, whether just or unjust, it's easy to retreat backward, feeling negative about it and starting to worry. What you need to realize is that unfair criticism is a backhanded compliment. When someone criticizes you without reason, it's because you are doing something which makes you stand out. Example, you're achieving something which makes people stand up and take notice. Most people get a kick out of knocking down people who have raised themselves, which comes in the form of unfair and sometimes hurtful criticism. Learn to take this as a compliment, and you will overcome such problems in the future. As long as you are doing the best you can, criticism shouldn't bother you. Nobody kicks a dead dog. Dale Carnegie. Of course, some criticism can be positive. Example, constructive, and gives us a platform on which to learn. Dale Carnegie keeps a folder called FTD, Footings I Have Done. In this, he writes the things he has done, which he feels pessimistic about. He reads it on occasion and uses the information to learn, remembering that nobody will help you through the days when you don't feel motivated. Chapter 9. Banishing mental and emotional fatigue will help you build a brighter future. Studies have shown that the brain rarely gets truly tired from physical activity or mental work, but it becomes fatigued and exhausted by emotional worries. Respected psychiatrist J.A. Hadfield said, "The greater part of the fatigue from which we suffer is the mental origin. In fact, exhaustion of purely physical origin is rare." Have a daily check-in with yourself. Ask how you're feeling. Scan your mind and body for tiredness, and be kinder to yourself. Dale Carnegie suggests taking regular rests to help you overcome such fatigue, to help build up your mental resistance to worry and unhelpful emotions. You should also identify what makes you feel tired, what makes you feel sad, and work out your worry triggers. By doing this, you can negate them in your life, or at least reduce your exposure to them. Focusing on downtime is also vital, so make sure that you make space in your life for chilling out, stretching, relaxing, exercising, and building up a tight social circle to rid your life of stress. Within this, you can learn how to work more innovatively to help reduce fatigue at work, and give you more time when you get home to focus on the fun things in life. Focusing on the things you enjoy is essential for reducing overwhelming thoughts. Finally, an excellent suggestion is to banish boredom from your life. One of the main reasons we worry is because we have the time to do so because we're bored. Instead, kick it out of your life. A photographer returned home from work with a headache, backache, and generally feeling tired. Then she received a phone call from her boyfriend asking her to dance, and she was immediately energized. She felt that way before because she was bored. How many times has that happened to you? Chapter 10. Get regular sleep because it is important for physical or mental health. Insomnia is a huge problem in the modern day, but worrying about not sleeping can be a bigger problem. Everyone needs a certain amount of sleep, with some requiring more than others. The problem is, when you worry about not sleeping, you're making it harder for you to sleep in the first place. Dale Carnegie tells us about one of his students who struggled with insomnia, concentrating on the clock and becoming even more stressed about his lack of sleep. He went to the doctor, who told him that if he wanted to overcome it, he had to stop worrying about it and realize that he was getting rest regardless of whether he was asleep anyway. By understanding that, the man began to sleep far better, and his nervous problem went away. Insomnia and general sleep problems can be worsened by worrying about the fact you're not sleeping. A professor at the University of Chicago, Dr. Kleitman, also says that people who have insomnia actually sleep more than they realize. If you can't sleep, do these. Get up and read until you feel tired. Don't worry about not sleeping. It's not going to hurt you. Relax your mind and body. Do some exercise to tire yourself out physically. Try prayer if that works for you. Chapter 11. Master work and money worries with a simple, direct approach. When we are young, we are forced to decide what we want to do with our lives. Example, the career we want to follow. This is a very stressful decision that can cause a lot of anxiety and worry. It's important to realize that it's entirely possible to have a range of different jobs and careers throughout a person's life, perhaps failing in some and succeeding others. The best way to deal with this decision is to listen to what you want, seek reliable advice, and do your best to remain calm about the reality. This decision can and probably will change over time. You do not have to get it right the first time. It might take several attempts before you settle on the career you want in life. Also, one of the biggest reasons that people worry is to do with money. Most think that if they could increase how much money they earn, their worries will disappear. But this rarely works. The best way is to become smarter with money and create a budget. These steps help. Write down all the figures accurately. Get advice and create an affordable budget. Learn how to spend appropriately and wisely. Don't give yourself a bigger headache by taking on more expenses than you can afford. Build up your credit rating for the future. Insure yourself against emergencies, such as fire or illness. Avoid having your life insurance paid completely to your window in cash. Teach your children how to be more savvy. Look into ways of earning money on the side. Avoid gambling at all costs. Money is one of the biggest reasons that people worry and develop anxiety. But is it worth it? Above all else, do what you can to improve the situation. Realize that you are doing your very best and stop wishing for things that cannot be. Conclusion. Learning to stop worrying will be the catalyst to changing your life completely. It won't happen overnight, and it is something you will need to work at. But once you notice changes, celebrate them and continue to focus on the things you need to work on. When you're constantly worrying, you don't have the time to work towards the things you want to achieve in life. Worry takes up far more time than you realize, and it also erodes your general health and happiness at the same time. If you constantly find yourself feeling exhausted when you've done nothing out of the ordinary, the chances are that you're expending energy on unnecessary worry. Understanding that we have control over our thoughts and therefore our worries is a light bulb moment. Once you realize how to change those thoughts into positives rather than worry-filled negatives, you will notice a brighter, happier future. In the end, worry might be prevalent in life, but it's a choice. You can choose to free yourself by doing the groundwork. Sure, life throws us hard times occasionally, but how you deal with them dictates whether you'll be a more positive and happier person, or someone who allows the what-if to carry them through a miserable life. For anyone who struggles with overthinking, learning to harness that will completely change your life. Think of all the possibilities in life you're missing because you're focused on the what-if and maybe. There is a big world out there, and you're allowing fear to control your life. Understand that you're holding yourself in a prison of your own making. It's time to free yourself. Try this. Count your blessings. Write down 5 things in your life that you are grateful for. Do a good deed for someone else every day. Change every negative thought you have into something positive.